freedom on my life, revolution on my mind, and I can see through my third eye. They want me dead, but I'm alive. I got my fist up in the sky, and my kings we finna ride, and my black queen she by my side. Revolution on my mind. Yeah. Okay, can we see justice and liberty mixed with equality? It was promised to me. I'm just trying to see why is he following me, and he keep following me, stand up for me.
Good day, kings and queens. You're now watching Black Eye Media. I'm your host for the day, Blue Casey. Today I got my big brother in the building, Antonius Northern. What it is, cuz?
Black Power.
Black Power.
Black Power.
First off, besides Black Power, let me say Happy Black History, my big brother.
Oh, Happy Black History.
You know what I mean? You know what I mean? And just introduce yourself, cause I know a lot of people don't probably understand that. You know, you gave me the black platform. You know what I mean? You put a lot of the knowledge on my head, and that led me to this leadership. I mean, so just introduce yourself and what you do in the community.
So my name is Antonius Northern. I'm the founder of an organization called Empower South Bend. We've been responsible for putting together some very quality education programming, entertainment programming, communication work in the city, getting out and really interacting with a lot of different groups. Work with the NAACP. I've also worked in the city. I've had the opportunity to work with yourself, with the New Black Power movement. I haven't had an opportunity to touch base with very many white organizations other than what I was speaking about when I said the city of South Bend, and the NAACP has funny founders. And,
Like
other than that, not too many white organizations have I had an opportunity to work with. I have a degree out of Indiana University in philosophy with a concentration in political science and religious studies. So a lot of what drives our community and a lot of what is the motivations for a lot of folks is what I studied while I was in college. So I've been trying very passionately to create bridges between faith-based organizations and also just my brothers and sisters who may be Muslim, my brothers and sisters who may be Christian, my brothers and sisters who may be Hebrew Israelite, Rastafarian, Voodoo, you know what I'm saying, the Akan, the Igbo. Yeah, so I've been on my path, and I'm really and truly happy because we're talking about who I am in South Bend. So who I am in South Bend is written. I'm Barbara Antonius.
That's what's up. That's shout out to the queen at that. Definitely. So I mean, we've been doing a lot. I mean, one of the things we did was the fuck Donald Trump rally.
That was great. I had a ball with that, man.
I say it to this day, even after the Black Lives Matter rally we did downtown and everything, that was still probably one of my realest days of being black.
You felt that? Yeah, I remember a lot of weird looks being had in that space because at that time I don't think a lot of the city was actually charged up about activism. They weren't really fully ready to say what they needed to say, and there was a group of us who who saw the storm coming, and if it wasn't a storm, at least it was a problem and a very annoying character that was starting to emerge. And so, like, as soon as we heard Donald Trump was potentially going to be the front runner for the Republican Party, and he was coming to our town, we was like, oh yeah, I ain't forgot about Groverton, North Liberty,
you know what I
mean, all of them areas, Osceola, all of them, you know what I'm saying, that we know.
Hidden racism was exposed that day.
Yeah, and because of that, and because we know the history of the state, we automatically have to be on top of that type of thing, right?
Exactly.
So when we came out to that rally, but you know what was funny though? The conservative or white liberal, not the conservative, but the white liberal folks who choose peace above all else, them folks had me very perturbed because they was like, oh, you're trying to fight hate with hate, and it's like, you know what, that's not hate if you actually are trying to condemn the people who spew hate, spew bigotry, who fearmonger, who try to scare people into moving in a certain direction. It ain't nothing wrong with actually confronting that very strongly.
Right.
And if you don't get that or you don't understand that doesn't necessarily mean that you're wrong, but it also doesn't make me wrong for wanting to take care or adjudicate my affairs in a certain way.
Yeah, I think I had said something to the Young Turks was out there.
Yeah.
And they did an interview with me, and I said something to where, Main Street, well, not Main, but Michigan, it was split off between anti-Trump and pro-Trump. You know what I mean? And the person asked me, the interviewer asked me, said, so what do you think is going to happen with America if Donald Trump win? I said, Donald Trump win, this is going to be America right here. America is going to be split in half. You know what I mean? That's exactly what we're seeing today. So, I mean, that's going to lead me to my first question is 2017. You know, the second month of 2017, Black History Month. How do it feel to be Black in America?
Man, I feel stronger than I ever been. You understand? Nothing about terror, nothing about tyranny, nothing about white supremacy in general has changed much. And if anything, I feel like I'm more aware, more active, more ready to deal with the problems and issues that are starting to, you know, get dumped off on our laps. Ain't nobody scared of no Donald Trump though, because you know, at the end of the day, like I was hip to Donald Trump before he even really started leading the pack, and I started to concern myself about who he was as an individual, because I knew one thing about it. People will get hysterical about a thing, right? Right. As if it has never happened in the history. Like 44 white men show up to a barbecue, right? None of them supposed to be dumb. I hear you. So what I'm saying though is that, you know what I'm saying, there's 43 other presidents besides Donald Trump and Obama, 43 of which have been white men. Why on God's green earth would you start to believe that out of those 43 people there wasn't a arrogant, headstrong, stubborn, fear-mongering, bigot, whatever you want to call, you know, whatever negativity you want to ascribe to the situation, but with the same type of track record as Donald Trump, right? And so I started, you know, my mind just started running as it normally does, right? And I picked up on him, and I knew who he was historically, right? You know, Donald Trump, and as a matter of fact, if you you know, pay attention to some of the interviews, some of the blogs and whatnot, you'll find that Donald Trump actually has an affinity to this guy, Andrew Jackson. Andrew Jackson is an incredible example. Bigot, yeah. But what you gotta stay hip to is who he was. You know what I'm saying, prior to the presidency and like his personal life. Let me just give you some key facts before we get cut off. But just Donald Trump and Ivanka, right? Ivanka, of course, has posed for Playboy, right? So she has some nudes. So what that does, you have to use that, you know, relatively speaking, though. Right. An appearance in Playboy magazine has some regularity or normalization inside of our culture. That could have happened, and a woman could still move on with her life, but she would still be tainted a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Not really first lady quality. Right. Definitely not. No. Right. But similarly, Andrew Jackson had a husband. I mean, Andrew Jackson's wife had a husband, right? That Andrew Jackson ruled the woman away from, right? And so for years on end of the country, you know what I'm saying, gave her like the side eye, like you just an impure woman, right? And then in addition to that, Andrew Jackson is notorious for like rushing into battles, not listening to any advisors, for actually, but this, you know, is kind of scary about Donald Trump, right? Andrew Jackson was really about that life and like really shot somebody, you know what I'm saying? And like he was about that life, he really would fight. And then when he came into the presidency, he was just as, you know, ruthless and straight and direct and to the point, and really drove home his white supremacist mindsets. And the reason why I call him white supremacist is primarily because of the pain that he inflicted on the Indians of Georgia and Florida. He was actually told not to go into Georgia or Florida by his advisors and by his superiors inside of the military. He was a military general. And he neglected his orders and went right down there and went crazy. Yeah, started murdering all types of similar Indians. So I mean, when you think about those two characters, you can start to see, okay, so this isn't the first time it happened, and so because I got my ancestors building, because I got my ancestors spirit, Black Power, you know what I'm saying? To one of these guys who just doesn't know what the impacts of what his actions are, and is really more concerned with like legacy and concerned with, you know what I'm saying, his impact, but that of course negates all reality and just, you know, what's really happening. And the reason why that's so pertinent to this conversation about a Muslim ban is that when you take a look at the language of the bill, right, when you look at the language of the bill, it probably isn't going to reflect the actual the word Muslim. And then you also add into that you know, throughout that entire day there were Muslims coming in and out of the country. So for those folks who might be concerned with something like national security, you know, our brothers and sisters who may have served in the armed forces and who actually are concerned with the safety of the other citizens. I mean, of course, we're all concerned about our families. We're all concerned about the members of our community that we cherish. But But yeah, the ban, in all likelihood, from most reports and just how things are shaking out, is not a ban on Muslim people. It was a ban on 7 specific countries. And what you have to do is you have to understand that Donald Trump was using a term like Muslim ban, and the media is using a term like Muslim ban in order to sensationalize the actual activity in order to make you all up in arms. It's almost like it's almost like we're fighting terrorism on 2 fronts. You know what I'm saying? One is trying to make us both of them are trying to make us so worried and so like messed up in the head that we can't keep our bearings straight and be able to make a well-balanced decision.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, there's just so much nonsense that's floating around inside of the world. And I think that's one of Trump's aims, is to be a fear-mongerer. He wants to, you know what I'm saying, try and cultivate a sense of fear in order to then cultivate a sense of compliance, right? Like, the more scared that you get, the more irrational you think, and the more you could be pumped full of lies, and then in turn you can, it'll change your mind and your decision. But so I think first to understand this is that there ain't no Muslim ban, right? If it was a Muslim ban, then all the Muslims that were traveling into the country from the other countries that Muslims live in, which there's over 1 billion Muslims, and not the majority of them do not live inside of those 7 countries, right? Like, Indonesia's got a massive Muslim population. Indonesia wasn't affected by the ban. Saudi Arabia has a massive Muslim population. Jordan has a massive Muslim population. There are a large number of Muslims in areas like Pakistan that probably wasn't banned. A large amount of Muslims were not affected by this ban, is what we have to understand. And we also have to understand that means that it is not a Muslim ban, but an actual ban on 7 countries, right? And that's important because that just lets you know what's going on. And it's like the same thing that they did to us with gay marriage, right? The same thing that they did to us with what was that one? Oh, Obamacare, exactly. Right? Like the Affordable Care Act. Like, whatever you could do to sensationalize the aspects of the thing that that the individual was doing, and get it as close as you possibly could to something that we don't like. Because then we'll pay attention, right? As long as we don't like it, oh yeah, we're listening. The other thing to take note about is the numbers, right? You have to let the numbers flush out and really grasp what's going on. So one of the things to look at is according to CNN, according to Fox News, according to the White House press secretary, there were 109 people that were detained on that Friday, and then there were another 173 individuals that were not allowed to get on planes. So, like, say for instance, you were in a country like Sudan, which is just on the east coast of Africa, real close to the Red Sea, and it's one of those countries that they've been fighting for years to try to destabilize, and it's got a lot of oil in that region, got a lot of cobalt, got a lot of diamonds inside of that area. So in all likelihood, somebody was trying to destabilize that country, but in the way of destabilizing that country, they ended up with some folks who resisted and who survived, and now have become a real life threat with regard to terrorism to a small population of small portion of the American population. So again, that is something like 283 people total that were affected by that ban, right? And what that speaks to, I think, for any individual who can take a look at those numbers and also knows any other numbers, or has any way of doing a comparative analysis, or has a way of trying to figure out what it is that can be done to make the American populace comfortable again. How can we fix this problem? How do we stop the protest? What is it that these folks need in order to feel more comfortable and more better inside of the society? One of the things that kind of registers for a black conscious brother like myself is, are y'all concerned about justice, or are y'all concerned about image? Right? Like, what's going on, right? Because when you look at the fact that 183 people were detained, 182 people were detained from 7 countries in the Middle East that might have had a large population. And really, if you really want to use the term much more acutely and really try to get at what you're really concerned about, you're not really concerned about Islam, you're concerned about pale Arabs. But these predominantly pale Arab countries. were detained or in some way inconvenienced by the implementation of a executive order. 180. In the United States, as it stands, there are, according to, like if you want to look at prisonindustry.org, I believe is the name of the website, you can take a look at what the statistical data shows for 14 to 15. And that's 2014 to 2015. What it says is that there were 14 million jailings in the continental U.S. Throughout the time period from 2014 to 2015. So, when you look at that number, you have to account for things like what are called things like recidivism. What is recidivism? Recidivism is when you go to jail more than one time in 1 year or period, just when you go back to jail after you've been to jail once. So, out of those 14 million, 9 million of those were individual cases where people actually was a specific individual who only went to jail one time. So so they call them unique instances, right? Unique instances of being jailed, right? So that number is 9 million. So out of the 14 million, 9 million people were individuals out of the 14 million jail visits. Then you take into account the current prison population, right? Because the jails are the doorways to those prison populations, so you can utilize the prison populations to kind of inform you as to how the arrest process works. Right. So 65% is the number that people like to use for the number of the percentage of the incarcerated population is African. Right. So 65% of 9 million gives like something like 5 million. Right. So then you take that 5 million and divide that 5 million by 365. Take that 308. The number that you get from there will give you the annual daily average for Black Americans going to jail. Right. That number is just like 16,000 people. So you mean to tell that 183 people got their freedom stripped from them, had their day obstructed in some capacity or another, and an individual who is concerned with justice would utilize and create a platform and be very loud and boisterous. The one that cares the most about justice would automatically, without having protested, for the 16,000 people that were arrested, like that individual then becomes up in arms about 183 people being obstructed. No, your issue isn't that. What your issue is that, this issue has hit the main stage. More people are paying attention to it. So what is happening is there's not a new threat to your justice. There's a new threat to your image, right? And so what that speaks to is that the general population's concern is not with whether or not justice is being served or with the legality of the executive orders. No, that's not what they're asking about. They're asking whether or not their image is going to look good, right? And the only problem with that is that Donald Trump is at some point probably going to start making those folks feel good about being white again. And so
make America great again.
Heck yeah, make America white again. Yeah. So like at some point he's going to start making those individuals start feeling good again about who they are as white people. And once that happens, right? All of that conversation, all of that momentum, all of that fervor, all of that intensity that they was fighting with will start to dissipate because America will start to go back to resting on its laurels, like it's an exceptional nature, which in by and large just means, like, although we enslave people, although we drop bombs, although we send drones, although we steal oil, although we colonize countries and lands, we're America. We're God. That's what we do. Like, get out of here with that trash, right? So that's I think those two things are important to bear in mind. Like 16,000 Black folks being arrested on a daily basis as a threat to justice. And when 183 Arabs were in some way inconvenienced, now you're all up in arms. Why? Not because of justice, but because the American people respect to the global community. And that's what they're majorly concerned about. The other thing to look at is what is terrorism? Terrorism is just a tactic by which a foreign body starts to try to create terror inside of a population so that they can then in turn manipulate who the leadership is based upon the terror that the general populace is experiencing, right? So scare you so bad that you change your senators. Scare you so bad you elect a stupid orange-colored
Cheeto man.
There you go. So that's how terrorism works, but it doesn't necessarily mean that it's a serious threat to your physical safety. Terror doesn't actually work on it's not the whole idea behind terrorism and using terrorism is that you don't have the wherewithal, you don't have the goods, the supplies, the people necessary to invade a country.
Right.
That's the whole reason why you do terrorism. So the idea that the entire country is in jeopardy is like Obama said, it's just not true.
Exactly. And, one thing I want to point out is the fact that it's not just a Muslim. Like you said, Muslims is all over the world. And in these small countries, two of these countries, Libya and Sudan, is in Africa. And we got Ethiopian Christian Africans who can't even leave Libya, where ISIS is now kicking out or killing, black people, the people that's not of their philosophy or of their religion or their skin tone. You know what I mean? So the fact that now we have Africans who cannot leave this country is a problem. You know what I mean? Just not even a problem. Just a simple fact that like you said, it's messed up for our image. But at the same time, we do have an accountability for our own.
That's really the issue of the day. Is how do you feel about the idea of protesting the fact that Trump won't take care of your people? Like, are you crazy? Right? Like, and I know that we do protest when things are not right, but at a certain point, you have to start to question, what was the mindset of the individual who was wanting to come over to America? Like, did you want to participate in capitalism further? Because in all reality, when you're dealing with capitalism in America's experience and practice, that means that the more downtrodden people are to come if somebody needs to use capitalism to achieve something good for their family. Like, capitalism is designed to deplete other people's resources in order to fill up your pie or your barrel or your lot. So yeah, you gotta ask, those are some very, very important questions. But again, America isn't wired and geared to actually try to decipher those types of things. But our black family is those of you that are, care, enough to actually pay attention to that. I mean, and that's what it is to be, black, conscious, good, solid.
Exactly. So, beginning with this craziness we call the Donald Trump administration, and then we're leaving from the Obama administration. What do you feel like Obama presidential legacy left, especially for black people?
It left a bad taste in people's minds. That's what it left. Yeah, it left a bad taste. Tastes like I don't know, collard greens and a cigarette or something. I don't know.
Oh man,
like
corn pie.
Like if you ever stick your finger in your ear and didn't taste it.
Oh my goodness, you nasty boy. Explain though, explain.
Listen, man, Obama is supposed to go down in history as being the first black president, but like I have argued on numerous occasions, like if they said that you were a wartime president or a peacetime president or a civil rights president, that would mean that you were actually a champion of one of those things, right? What was Obama the champion of inside of our black community? Not a damn thing. Not a damn thing. Like, you want to talk about initiatives like My Brother's Keeper, like, keep it a buck. Like, My Brother's Keeper don't got no funding, and it really ain't got no takeoff or no rollout, and it still ain't nothing, and he gone. Like, especially here in the city of South Bend, they got Sherry P running that program. Boy, you don't want no smoke. Sure they ain't making nothing. And I imagine that people are probably going through similar experiences. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's too little too late, and in all reality, what he really did do is he looked out for special interest groups. He looked out for the military industrial complex and for the American brand or security. You know what I'm saying? He was just drone attacking people left and right. He might have been moving people out, but they were still committing atrocities. So don't get it twisted. Like, he might have kept some soldiers safe, but at the end of the day, what he did was continue America's reign of terror in multiple different locations. Not to mention, he allowed for that white woman to convince him to then kill Muammar Gaddafi, which was ridiculous, and you knew better than that. And then all of the reports bear out that you were trying to tell her to slow down, and she wasn't listening, and you still let her keep going, and then you had the audacity endorse that wench for president. Can't stand that old ugly powder face. Neither one of them. Husband look raggedy, wife look raggedy. That's why he cheated on you, because you ugly, look like a boy.
Guys, as y'all see, we keep it 100 over here on Black Eye Media.
Yeah, no, I mean, no, you ain't got it. Yeah, it's cool. I mean, my mama told me I'm cute when I woke up this morning, so I ain't no stress, no struggle.
You an ugly mom.
No, I'm glad. Listen, Mama Barbara. Hey, shout out to my baby cute. So that's how I know I'm alright.
Young Black Queen, definitely. She was involved with Young Royalty, smart like you.
Yeah.
I would love to add. Definitely raised Queen well on that one.
Yeah.
I feel like when it comes to Obama, you know, I feel like we celebrated.
Yeah.
A little bit too hard.
True. I think Obama was one of those things though that it was like somebody finally cracked the door. You know what I'm saying? And like for some of us, you know, some of us we gonna celebrate. We're gonna celebrate the opportunity, whatever it is, right? Like to feel like we've done something or we could do something differently. Like we're like, oh yeah, it's about to go down. Like, you know, break out the Hennessy 44. Matter of fact, we ain't even drinking no dark Hennessy. Bring me the clear.
And that's why I don't feel like you know what I mean, I'm very critical, you know what I mean? I'm always gonna be that way, but when it came to Obama, I tried to put things to a certain perspective.
Okay.
Because, you know, his presidency had an effect on my generation. You know what I mean? And definitely, so like when he became president, I was in the 7th grade. You know what I mean? And I was at a white private school, mostly white private school. There were prosecutor kids, city leader kids, they all conservative, watch Fox News all day. And that's what they was regurgitating out.
That's what I kept shouting at the Trump rally. Your mama raised you soft. your daddy made you that way. That's why you
exactly. Racism is passed down. You know what I mean? I used to think that as a kid that you know, once these old people that was around at that time might die, that racism might die out, get older, that goes out the window.
Yeah.
So when I was in the 7th grade, Obama won, I didn't go to school. You know what I mean? After the election day, I didn't go to school with inauguration day.
Soft ass people.
I swear to God, my mama kept me home after I kept they was treating the man like he wasn't a man, a guy like he wasn't a human being or something.
That's good. Hey man.
You know what I mean? But when we got to the point that we realized that okay, we got a black president, people was more worried about how black our president was. You know what I mean? They didn't want us to have, you know, the Kumbala. You know what I mean? They wanted to see if we had, you know, an African American or one of them uppity dudes, or if we had a nigga in there.
Yeah.
And you know, we were celebrating
about if you ate chicken, do you hoop?
Do you play basketball? You're bringing in this rapper. Who was your favorite rapper? You know what I mean? Which is good. It was fun. But what are you doing for the community?
This is real, right? Like, and it almost turns back. Like, and now that I think about it in review, kind of it's the black version of what Trump did by walking Kanye and by walking Steve Harvey, and like it's like the stereotypical aspects of our community had to be checked in with first to make sure that you were cool enough with us, right? But it didn't really substantively prove anything. Like it didn't prove that, you know what I'm saying, you had the people's interest in mind. All it proved was that, you know, you were down with a few of the things that we stereotypically do. But here's the thing about, like, the reason why you check that, right? Because you got to give due credit to our spiritual nature and what we try to do in order to vet people, because we spent so many years and so many decades being lied to. So one of the things that happens inside of all of those contexts, right? Like, you want to know if Obama's a Christian. You want to know why he's a Christian. You want to know if he's a Christian because you figure if he's a Christian, he's going through an experience that will shape his decision making. You see what I'm saying? Same thing goes for when you on the basketball court, right? Like when I was watching Barry and Obama's character was in there and he was on the court in the middle of the city, right? Like he was a little uptight, and like things were, you know, trash talk was occurring. Dude was giving them a lot of flack. They was, you know, doing hard fouls. It just wasn't a lot of sympathetic attitudes and stuff happening on the court. Then from there, though, they pan to a view of Obama playing on campus at Columbia, like where he's inside of the rec space. And when he's inside of the rec space, he's not acting very timid anymore, right? He's starting to apply the
gulliness of
the assertiveness that he's supposed to have. But then, you know what I'm saying, what we were hoping is that if you play basketball, if you like hip hop, if you like Christianity, if you did all those things, you should have a black mind, and that should inform your your decision making as a president. But what we didn't figure is that somebody was already hip to it. What we didn't figure is that Obama might be using that as a tool to manipulate the expectations and also to get an extra kind of measure of rope. Like, I'm good, bro. You just trust me. I'm gonna do it, right? I mean, you see me at the hoop court. I got you. You know what I'm saying? But he was the dude that ran off on the plug twice, 2 elections. You know what I'm saying?
Ran off on the plug twice.
Obama.
Ran off on the country twice. Nah,
Barack Plies Obama.
No, I mean, and it's crazy how you said it. Like, my first heartbreak with Obama was during Black Lives Matter season. What we had at 2012. You know what I mean? 2 years after a couple years after he got in, but 2 official years from 2010. You know what I mean? And this man, we lost Trayvon Martin. We lost, Mike Brown and everything, everybody else who was dying during that season. And when it happened in Baltimore, we talked to the Black Lives Matter activists that came down to South Bend and broke down what happened there. And when you got gangs, different structures, Crips and Bloods, and GDs, Vice Lords, and you got the black conscious structures that usually rival against each other coming together. You know what I mean? And we all marching as one.
Finally unified.
You know what I mean? When we come together and then you break us down and call us niggas. A lot of people don't understand that's what the riot was about.
They using ghetto like it's niggas.
Exactly.
In Baltimore.
Yeah, Baltimore.
See, yeah, because they don't understand. But it's cooked up though. Look, like, dig this though, right? If you go riot, rally, protest, whatever, right? They try to keep you in a contained area. Just think about how it went down when we was here in South Bend, right?
Exactly.
Like, please try to stay in this area because we don't know if we can protect you outside of this specific area. One of the things that people probably haven't seen is the images from the gallery, which is just right around the Orioles stadium, right? They have this district called the Gallery where the protests and the marches started to spill over into that area.
Yeah. And
what happened was that Orioles fans started to antagonize the protesters and actually began to throw bottles from the bars and establishments that were on the gallery as the march was occurring.
And so yelling out the N-words, doing all that.
So once that happened,
it went haywire. It wasn't supposed to be like that.
And then that's when Obama showed back up talking about like
hoodlums and thugs.
I mean, not to mention. I mean, look. One of the things that like we have to comprehend, like what Dr. King said, you know what I'm saying, is that like the rioting ain't really about as much about procuring those physical resources as it is about vindication, about retribution. Like, I need to feel whole again, and I'm gonna try and fill these holes with the goods that are inside of your store. But like, that's no different from any other conquering entity whatsoever. You see what I'm saying?
Speaking of, the 90s, 80s, when we had mass incarceration, gentrification, war on drugs, right after we just passed the Civil Rights Bill. You know what I mean? Now, it's supposed to make America accountable of giving rights to those that they haven't been given no rights and freedoms to ever. You feel me?
Okay.
So, with that being said, we lost a lot of our resources.
With the integration,
exactly. So, how can we get some of those resources back?
Man, to really start to do that, it takes one thing it's my responsibility, and I take it dead ass serious to make sure that y'all know about some of the scholars that are inside of the black community, because it don't make no sense for you to always have to refer back to, John Locke in order to understand what's going on inside of your community. You should be able to, cite a black scholar and be able to recite some of the things that they've said. And you don't necessarily have to do it from a textual perspective. Like, I know a lot of y'all learn audibly if you listen to music and you're able to retain the information. So go on YouTube, learn about these cats. Throw on a YouTube video and just put your headphones on and cut out walking somewhere or do it at your job, whatever it is that you need to do. Anyway, this piece is given to us by one of our scholars. His name is Dr. Claude Anderson. He was also an advisor for the Clinton administration. But what he said is that the thing that the slave lost most of all was responsibility. right? And that's what that's what segregation placed heavily and squarely on our shoulders, right? You responsible for your community. You can't come over here and buy nothing. You can't live here. You can't expect us to take care of you. No, that ain't your drinking fountain. That's our drinking fountain. If you want a better drinking fountain, get you one. You know what I'm saying? There was, you know what I'm saying, some oppression that came in from white folks not wanting to interact, but in all likelihood it was probably because you took your butt over there trying to interact with them. But yeah, and I just said, like, people were, white folks had a problem with Negroes who considered themselves uppity or better or on par with white folks based upon all of the things that they did, blue vein society type cats, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, I'm so pale I can pass for white. Gonna find out that you trying to pass for white.
Paper bag there.
Yeah. Wait till they find out that that's what you was trying to do, boy. Yeah, you gonna hang like you like you 1201. So anyway, in order to bring the power and the abilities back, we need to bring back the responsibility to our community. Once we can do that, then we can really start to re-outfit our community. And everything comes from not everything, but a lot of things come out of necessity. You know what I'm saying? So like the responsibility to educate our youth is what brought about all of those awesome folks that came out of the Reconstruction era, all of those folks who was during the antebellum period of slavery, those individuals from the Reconstruction era, those folks who
Black Wall Street,
all of these stations and responsibilities were our own. And then what happened with our integration experience is that we have been pushed away so long that the expression that people want what they can't have manifested clear and apparent. Right? It was like, oh, you can buy white toilet paper. Does it wipe your butt better? No. Well, you can have some white ice cubes. Does it make my drink colder? No. But it is white, and like that was enough for a coon. You know what I'm saying? So like, if we wanna bring our communities back, if we wanna re-strengthen the communities, one thing that we need to do is to bring back our responsibility.
I think Dr. King said it best, in which is he was the leader of the civil rights movement, but better off known as the integration movement. He integrated his people into a burning house. You know what I mean? And right after he died, the FBI, CIA came, broke down the Panthers, broke down the black community, broke down the black power structure, and as a whole. So, it's just crazy that I talk about the lost generation all the time, and where, my generation, the 90s babies, we didn't have the leaders of the Black Panther parties and things like that. We had gangs. You know what I mean? And it's like now, with having Barack Obama in office, and like I said, his presidency had an effect on my generation because it gave us an example of leadership. It's somebody that we can look up to and be like, okay, now we can start getting involved. And we leaving him, we have Donald Trump, somebody that's waking us up and showing us that racism is still fucking.
They still pop.
It's still going down.
And then change.
So what you feel like this new term, black consciousness, or like I call it, black intelligence, pro-black. What is black consciousness?
Black consciousness is a desire to locate truth above all other objectives. Like whenever you dealing, whatever it is that you're dealing with, your main objective is to get truth. And the black part of this whole consciousness is it comes from an Afrocentric or Afro-centered or Africa-centered base of knowledge. Like when people ask you questions about religion or whatever, ask you about the way that a nation should be structured, how should economics go, any of those things, like you are able to pull upon a knowledge base that of African history and say, based upon how things have gone inside of the continent of Africa, I can give you an estimation or an approximation as to what's about to happen inside of humanity, right? Like you utilize those skill sets, and also with those skill sets comes things like the scientific method, right? Like of deducing, of creating a hypothesis, of studying your results, of really having an acute sense of how can I most clearly understand what's happening around me. That's and so yeah, again, it's just finding truth. right, is the consciousness aspect of it, and then the black consciousness aspect of it is having rooted yourself in enough African information to now be able to do comparative or analytical investigation of what's happening around you. I mean, it's cool to say Hotep because you're perceiving that peace will come about from that space, right? Like if you can have like it's not necessarily, and some of it is conditioning your people, right? I want my people to be able to speak a language other than this bastardized tongue of English. I want to be able to have understanding that has not been given to us by some drunk, dirty, I ain't never took no bath European. You see what I'm saying? As a way of transferring information, because I'm not sure that the individuals that would be willing to enslave another human being have within them the scruples, right, to be able to now pass along information about how to preserve a community or how to preserve a humanity. I don't think their tongues were adept enough to be able to handle that task. So if I say Hotep to my brothers and sisters, what I'm really saying is, you know what I'm saying, like walk with the peace of having being a part of a society that it wasn't all about colonization, that wasn't all about capitalism, that wasn't all about some type of imperial gang or we were already black, we were already the most dominant culture in the world, so we never really had to tap into some animalistic nature afforded us that you know what I'm saying. You can go look all through Oceania. You can go look at islands like Buka. You can go look on the Australian continent. You gonna see my brown skin ass. You know what I'm saying? Like my brother is out there. You know what I'm saying? Out that way. Then my brothers is also in South Africa. And my brothers is in South America.
Black Power.
My brothers is in Japan in the mountains. My brothers is, you know what I'm saying, in the high hills of China. My brothers is, we may not have deeply populated Russia, but there's a good solid sense that those Russians are nothing more than albinoid Dravidians out of India that then migrated towards those Caucasus Mountains and then went up into those areas like Syria and then around that Black Sea up into what is considered to be Russia. But you gotta have, you know what I'm saying, like that's just who we are, baby. And so yeah, when I say it's just the same thing, right? When people ask you, what's the difference between white power and black power?
Oh my goodness.
Black power natural,
but I hate getting their ass. I swear to God.
Yeah, black power natural, baby. We just have a natural dominance, and you know what I'm saying, we have allowed for the rest of humanity to manifest out of our spirits. It's just how it really
I feel you on that definitely. I know you've been deep in with schools, like I know what I mean. So can you talk about this plight, like education in the Black youth of South Bend, and what you've been doing with Madison Elementary School?
Well, I guess I get this, and this is another one of your scholars, another one of your inspirational leaders. Dr. Umar Johnson has been pushing heavy and hard to make sure that he creates a National Parent Association. But the National Parent Association is not to prop up Umar Johnson, it's to prop up the idea of making sure that we're not being ambushed and bullied inside of these educational environments until we can get ourselves into a more stable situation where we taking care of our own kids and our own education. You know what I'm saying? So in the meantime, in between time, you know what I mean, take somebody with you to these school meetings. And one of the queens, reached out to me because she figured, like you had asked her earlier, that was the black conscious brother that was seeking out truth, and I was using my, Africanity in order to do so. So after, the fact that I had tuned in to the scholar, brother Dr. Umar Johnson, and he said, make sure don't nobody have to go to these meetings by themselves. I went with one of the queens to go check out what was going on in the way of an IEP for her son, right? And what we experienced over at Madison Elementary with their principal Dan Martin and some of our other staff that worked inside of the special ed department was that, and we also had a chance, we got a little taste of former principal Ms. Hurt, who was also there as supposedly a member of a parent advocacy group or a liaison between the school and the parents, right? We had an experience where we decided that we didn't agree with the way in which they were assessing this young man's behavior. We couldn't understand exactly what they were doing to document his behavior, and we also didn't agree with what they wanted to do to correct the behavior. One of the things that they were attempting to do was to get the young man to not actually come during the normal days of instruction. And what they really wanted to do was crazy, right? Because they wanted to get basically extra credit, right? You're going to get, we want to show you, you should appreciate us because we are willing to educate your son from 3 to 5 when you were supposed to be educating him from 8 to 3. So, like, it's 2 hours now that you got to educate him instead of, you know what I'm saying, like 6 hours. Wow. But we're supposed to show our appreciation because apparently you giving the extra effort by making sure that this kid gets some instruction. Mm-hmm. Not to mention that the reality of the situation is that we find out, hindsight's incredible, but we find out that the school's been failing for the last 5 years prior to us actually having a conversation with them, right? But what we realized is that, Principal Dan Martin was over there leading up a coalition of folks inside of the special ed department that were trying to railroad this mother, right? Mm-hmm. And so when we said no to what they wanted to do with the IEP, they then in turn called a second IEP discussion meeting about a month later. And in this meeting, they decided to stack the deck. And they also didn't tell us that this was going to be a voting meeting. So what they decided to do is they invited 11 members of their staff to the meeting. Then we had a conversation for a little bit. Then the principal tried to get a little snide, little snooty with me.
Snooty booty.
Yeah, a little snooty. I mean, it didn't work, you know what I mean? Because one of the things that is like what Max Julian said, you know what I'm saying? Save your condescension for your inferiors. You know what I mean? And so, like, when she tried to be condescending to me, it's like what we're also talking about with regard to racism. That shit shrivel up and die in the face of somebody who's got enough heart. You know what I mean? Like, if you could look at a person right in the face while they're trying to oppress you and let them know I'm stronger than that, you would never be able to do that. You know what I'm saying? None of this matters. Really. You know what I'm saying? We could take all of this whole thing and uproot it. You know what I mean? Like, that's the structure by which we live. Well, what if I shake the ground? Right? So that's how I felt when the principal was kind of trying to give me the eye, trying to get me to retreat. And so, we made that abundantly clear that that's not what we was going to do. And then the principal decided to roll out her ambition. So her ambition, or what her tactic was, her antic was to then utilize the fact that she had an 11-4 advantage to start a voting process on this child's IEP with all these people present in an IEP meeting that we hadn't even agreed to. Which is also one of the tenets of the IEP meetings, right? Nobody gets to come that the parents don't okay. Right? So, like, you got 11 people in this meeting that you ain't asked nobody for. We just get here, it's 11 seats for these folks and 4 for us. Mm-hmm. So, when all that went down, we was like, no, we're not accepting the decision of this vote. Right. You know what I'm saying? Tell you, that's not happening. They're like, well, if you don't accept that, then we're going to have to send it downstate. Trying to get us to punk out and cower out like they, you know what I'm saying? Like, never gonna happen though. Never. So, because that's just what they want you to do. That's what a white supremacist wants you to do. That's what a white cracker wants you to do. Is that they want you to relent to the ways of old. So instead of saying, this is the right, or like, okay, we haven't had enough time to actually hear out your concerns and we won't vote on this situation, you try to instead threaten us by saying that the state would do us worse than you would, so that we would basically back down, right? Oh, if the state gets a hold of this, you who knows what's going to happen to them type of thing. And you're like, no, you don't understand. Like, we ain't come here, to do no halfway fight. You know what I mean? We no. So take it downstate if that's what you need to do. Because plus on top of that, we didn't like the fact that you ambushed us with the vote in the first place, dead Mark. Exactly. You see what I'm saying? So like, and to be a whole $1.50, it was a lot of brown faces around that table that was getting the eye very something very fierce. Like, how y'all gonna let them do us like this? Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I'm not gonna say the individuals' names that were a part of that, but just understand that, you know what I mean? The fact that we came out on top in that situation speaks to your unwillingness to actually step up. Like, this could have been resolved a little bit sooner. Could have probably avoided a lot of this conversation. Anywho, so when they tried to railroad us and we told them go ahead and take it to the state, before it got to the state, the director, John Edwards from South Bend Community Schools, the director of special ed, then called a meeting in. And that was another month, right? And this child was in and out of school during that entire experience, still going through back and forth issues with staff who were more emotionally charged and, skilled or qualified to actually deliver this curriculum in a way that would have been beneficial to their students. But yeah, when we got to the meeting, they told us that they had been doing a 30-day examination or a 30-day monitoring, and that they had documented all 30 days of his activity. And so they, from their documentation or from their monitoring, they were going to be able to make a recommendation, right? But the only problem with this is that they were doing an evaluation without a constant, so they didn't have a way in which to see what the difference was or what the change is. And that's what you need inside of an experiment, is that you have a variable and you have a constant. The constant is to let you know, what I'm saying, like this is the norm, right? So then any variation inside of the variable lets you know how impactful the thing was, right? So without that, it's not a real experiment, and this is a real child. This is this real educational experience. So when I looked at the form, right? I look at the form. I look at John Edwards. I said, bro, what is this? How can we use this? Like, there's no constant.
Right.
Like, you talking about this is what his behavior is. What's the behavior of a student who doesn't have these issues? I don't know. There is no normal student. Then why would you even set this up?
Exactly.
This is completely baseless. How can you use this to evaluate who he is? Right? So once he saw that, like, that wasn't going to happen, so then after we realized the shit soup that was over there in that special education department, we asked the student be removed from the building and transferred to another building. He's doing extremely well. And so, that's just another way in which you can get involved. Like, don't get it twisted. This ain't all, like, super pro-black. Like, I probably didn't even mention, my membership in the New Black Power movement. My membership in Black nationalism, my association with anything. You know what I'm saying? Like, I just made the truth clear. And that's what you can do in order to get involved in the movement. You just make the truth clear. Like, truth speaking is key to our African roots. Like, to be able to know that your tongue has been crooked or bent or, folded to speak lies on another person is key to your. It helps with your aura. It helps your spirit to flow better. It helps with your confidence. Your disposition, probably even your posture. So, like, those are some key aspects and elements of our Africanity that you gotta, just carry with you anyway. Exactly. And if you want to be involved, that's how you do it. No, I'm not asking you to always have like, just do the right thing. You know what I'm saying? And, like, don't let your vision be clouded by the brevity of your life experience, right? Sometimes people like, I'm 15. I ain't never seen no slaves. I ain't got nothing.
You barely seen life now.
Yeah, there's another way to look at life, and if you were being sincere about what you were trying to see, you would be utilizing those things. Like, if you were walking around here talking about you don't know what the big deal is about white people, and you ain't never taken no time out to actually examine that, you gotta be a damn fool. And you actually ain't really concerned with truth speaking. Exactly. You only concerned with what's popular. Right, and that's it. That's exactly the same reason why no one's got a problem with Trump and the Muslim ban, because you won't investigate. Same reason why people were super happy about Obama, because just go with the hype, and that's America. They just like things that go Obama.
So we gotta wrap it up now, and I actually led right into my wrapping it up question was what we gotta do to get involved with the community. Definitely put it together. Glad to even have this conversation with you, man. It was definitely needed for the community, man. Thank you, my brother.
Congratulations on your new platform,
Definitely.
Black Media. Y'all better get with it or get ran over.
Black intelligence, man.
It's probably looking pretty good from over there. It's definitely looking good from here. I love everybody out there in the community. We got a poetry event on February 18th, Civil Rights Heritage Center. That's 1040 West Washington Street, 1040 West Washington Street, 6 to 8 p.m.
1040 West Washington Street.
Yeah, Civil Rights Heritage Center, IUSB.
Shout out Daryl Heller, man. We're gonna get you on this show next.
Yeah, we definitely want to see you. We got some really tough questions for all of these folks out here in the community. Yeah, and if you are, you know, of this brown skinned nature and you still cool, like expect to see this.
Indeed. So as always, man, Black Power 365, man, wake up, get informed, get informed. I can't express that enough. To get informed, get involved, and get active, man. Black Power 365. You dig? We out of here. Black Eye, man. Get it!
Do you really wanna be free? I said, do you really wanna be free? Do you wanna have freedom? And I just want mine. Freedom. That's for my ancestors. And do you really wanna be free? Black man in America, you wanna be me. Got a target on your back when you walk through the streets. Niggas wanna see you dead, cops don't want you to breathe. System made against you, they don't want you to eat. Take your freedom of speech, kill you dead while you sleep. Hit you over the head and hang you up from a tree. Institutionalized, got you under the feet. Third eye wide open, they don't want you to see. Stuck up in a country that you can't even leave. Freedom rise, whites only, can I take me a seat? I don't wanna be your friend, I just wanna be free. Like a bird in the sky, or a fish in the sea. Or the music in my head when I skip to the beat. You can kick American pie, I'm trying to get to the bread. I might just open Lady Liberty legs and tell her give me that. Pledge allegiance to the flag, liberty and justice, a bunch of shit I never had. They'd rather see me dead in the streets than to see me with my pants sagging talking about I'm free. But it's America, right? They don't care for your rights, they don't care for your life. I can get killed tonight just for running a light. When the cops get behind you, better run for your life. They see us all as criminals, no subliminals. System is made up just to get rid of you. Is it my skin color that's really killing you? I'm so pro-black that it's severely you. Justice system is so despicable, hypocritical, unforgivable. What's the principle? So political. The elephants in the room is a piece for the shoe.